What's up, everybody? Well, I got another gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're gonna check out Final Fantasy 15. As somebody was curious how it runs on the Asus. Somebody already requested on the Steam Deck. We did that quite a while ago. Don't know if the video posted yet or not, but I definitely made that video. So now we're gonna do it on the Asus G15 Advantage. Now for this one, I'm just gonna do 1080p and 1440p, but this time I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna do 1440p screen recorded part using super resolution on the capture computer, cause to my knowledge, super resolution is just like the super resolution in the NVIDIA control panel. You can pretty much tell a monitor that can't do X resolution to do said resolution. Like, I remember I used to have a 1080p Samsung TV, and I used to do Samsung super resolution to make it 4K, because it was such a big picture, everything looked kind of blown up and blowy and blurry. So I would make my 1080 Ti at the time say, hey, that monitor is 4K, even though it's not. So I think AMD Super Resolution works the same like that. I do not believe you get any performance benefits. Like, it's not like FSR or anything. So we're gonna use Super Resolution to do 1440p and get screen recorded with the capture card and see how that works. Somebody just had the idea to do that and let me know, so I was like, oh, well, that's not a bad idea. Kind of mad I didn't think of that. So there we go. And there's also a couple people that have been wondering why I never do any super resolution stuff. And honestly, that's because I thought it fucked with shit. And then I thought about it logically for a second when my capture computer died, or the monitor died, which is fixed, by the way. Anyway, enough blabbering. Why don't we get this laptop hooked up to the capture computer and we'll look at the settings real quick. Then we'll do a quick benchmark and then we'll get into the game. Sound good? All right, let's jump in.
Well, all right, guys. Let's just check out the display section one time. We don't need to come back here and here again, but we're at 1920 by 1080, no VSync. So, we won't be changing anything there. We're just going to change stuff here. So from now on, we'll just show you this, and we're on the low preset, so I'll just kind of let it sit here and talk to you for a second so you guys can check out the different settings, since I can't actually go through them. I mean, I could if I change it to custom, but anyway, to the game. Well, all right, real quick, I wanted to run a benchmark. So the benchmark got us 15,524 with an extremely high performance, and that's on light quality at 1080p full screen, which is pretty much their version of low in the game. So now let's actually get into the game and see how actual gameplay is like. Well, all right, let's get started here. Now, this game does stutter a lot, but it did on my desktop when I played it with a 1080 Ti, and God, what kind of CPU did I have at the time? I think it was a 2070 or 2700X, I believe, at the time. So I was probably CPU bottlenecked up the wazoo in this game. But I was at 1440p, and I let everybody, I just believed everybody, like, oh no, if you get in, you don't need Intel at 1440p. Like, no matter what, it's always GPU bottlenecked. But then it's like, nah, that's not always the case. Certain games just seem to hate AMD. Well, at the time, hated probably their lack of IPC, really. But once the 5000 series came out, AMD was fucking awesome. Ever since, pretty much. Now Intel got back on top here and there in a couple areas in here, but now I like it. This is actually like competition. This is what we all need as consumers. I never really got the point of fanboying, like, oh, I'll never touch AMD, it's such trash. It's for poor people. That's what I kept getting told all the time. Even when I had a 295X2, and it's like, dude, it's a $1,500 GPU. If I was poor, I literally couldn't buy this, so what the fuck are you talking about, you know? Man, that takes me back. What did I have for a CPU with that thing? I think that's when I first tried out the FX series and learned how terrible they were. I went back to my my Intel 2500K at 5 gigahertz, and like all games played infinitely better and smoother. And I was like, man, that's a shame. I really wanted to do an all AMD rig, but I'm not going to have my thing get 40 FPS with a $1,600, $1,500 GPU like the 295X2. Yeah, GTA 5 couldn't even max that. It wasn't because of I wasn't doing 4K or anything ridiculous. That was just 1440p. And I didn't even max the game out. It was like just decent settings, like pretty high settings. And yeah, I would drop down to 30, 40 FPS all the time because that stupid FX processor. Although I'd say today probably it'd be beating my 2500K because games nowadays probably actually use some of those cores. Anyway, though, why don't we go ahead and move on? Well, now, why don't we move on to average or medium? You can call it whatever. It's pretty much medium settings now. So we'll just chill here, and you guys can look at all the settings since I can't really scroll through them like I normally do. But I think I've given more than enough time to look, and if you can always pause, so. To the game. So this time around, we got ourselves 13,241 for a score, which is still extremely high. Standard quality, 1080p and all that good stuff, which is medium. They call it average in the game. Anyway, though, now let's go see what the actual gameplay's like, shall we? Here we are in the game again, on medium, or average, whatever you want to call it. Well, I will say it got a lot smoother. That's not to say there won't be any stuttering, but so far this is a lot better than it was on low. Well, let's get into a battle and see what the battle is. Battles almost always stutter and make a bunch of stuff whenever you use moves and stuff, but let's find out. So far? Oh, nope, there we go. There's one.
Let's clean him up quick.
All right, took those centipedes out. So let's continue down our little path. I'm trying to kind of stick to similarly the same path, as boring as it may be. That way it's kind of the same area every time. Otherwise, it's like, okay, well, it could have been that one area that got that FPS at one time. It might not be because your settings at all. But I did find something funny when we get to 1440p. There is an area, like, right down here that no matter what, I drop under 16. Like, almost no matter what settings I set, unless I run the game, like, on pretty much low or average. If I go up to high or highest or anything like that, it just seems to drop. So it just might be too hard for it to run. And it's not like I'm turning on the NVIDIA settings for that one or anything. I am going to do that at the end of the video just for fun. It's probably not going to go very well, but I just want to see if it's even possible. Because they definitely made my 1080 Ti fall flat on its face, but it's not like those are the same kind of technologies as ray tracing, so an AMD GPU might not be able to do it as well as the NVIDIA counterpart, but it should still be able to do it. Hopefully it won't be quite as bad as turning on ray tracing, but I guess time will tell. We'll do that at the end in place of ray tracing, as this game doesn't have that. Doesn't really need it, though. For its age, it still looks pretty damn decent, considering we're not even on the highest settings yet. This is just medium. This is like a little bit above what my PS4 experience looked like. PS4 looked like low. Probably like low everything, but like medium textures. That'd be what I would place the PS4 settings at. And then you had like literal minute and a half freaking load times. No fun. Versus like 20 seconds on this. Anyway, all right. Moving on to high now. So we'll just stare at these settings real quick before we get into the benchmark. Give you enough time to kind of look over them since I can't really scroll through them as I normally tend to do. But I think that's probably good enough, so why don't we go ahead and hop into the game now. Well, benchmark's all finished. We got 10,432, very high performance. And that's at high quality this time at 1080p full screen. So now with that out of the way, why don't we go ahead and hop on into the game? Well, now for a little high quality, which seems to have introduced a different time of frame time stutter. Oh, there we go. It kind of went away a little bit now. But it's still not quite as smooth as it was on average, I don't think. Well, maybe it's about equal. Sometimes it's placebos the hell out of it, you know? But this looks like way stutterier than just medium settings was. We had like a small little stutter here and there while we were fighting these guys, but I would say this is much worse. Now, while I'm fighting, would I notice any of these stutters if I didn't have a frame time bar where I could see it? Probably not, honestly. But I just like being honest. This is definitely a kind of stuttery game. At least on 1080p, the laptop itself anyway. Maybe that'll change once we do 1440. Oh, there's still one more, okay. I thought we had them all beat already.
Problems? Warranting royal attention. I'll play it by ear then.
Okay. Alright, I was like, where in the heck? I thought there was some freaking people around here somewhere to fight. We found them, though. Ow. Screw you. Get off me.
Well, here we are. Ran over here as fast as I could. Why? Never asked you to. Don't be like that. All over. Once in my sights. Pronto. Stop bitching.
All right, there we go. That's a win. So now, I think that's probably a good time for us to move on to the next setting. Now, here we go with highest. And then after we're done with this, we'll try out some of that NVIDIA stuff, I do believe. So we'll just chill here for just a second or two so you guys can look over all the settings that it changed. And I think that's probably plenty. So now we'll get into the benchmark. Well, here we go. Surprisingly, we got 11,248, so we actually got more FPS. And a better score with higher settings. Interesting. I'll show you those settings real quick here. I just took a picture with my phone of very high settings and copied them accordingly. So with that out of the way, let's hop into the game. Well, now here we go. On very high settings. So why don't we just run around for a tiny bit here and we'll get a little gameplay footage in. We'll fight our little centipede buddies down here.
Cool. Go take care of it. Alone? I wasn't part of the deal. Jojo, how about this? Try this. Stay down.
Oh, there's another one over there. Hell yeah, and I think that's about it for those guys. There's our monster truck regalia. It was so funny seeing it normal in the benchmark. Then I get into my game, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I turned it into a monster truck so I could go off-road and go wherever the hell I wanted. Alright, where were those damn dog things I wanted to fight in here?
Man, it's hot.
Then lose the jacket.
Magitech engine. It's close.
Oh, well, here's some centipedes. It's not quite the dogs, but it'll work. Alright, and with them beat, I think we can move on. Well, now like I said, I wanted to try out those NVIDIA settings, so we're just going to leave the game maxed out, and we're going to turn on all these NVIDIA Hairworks things, so I'll just show you guys these real quick, because I can at least go through those toggles, and I think that's more than enough for the people that were staring at the ones that are grayed out. So, to the game, or benchmark. Well, benchmark just got done. We got 7,044 and high performance. But it was definitely dropping under 60, I can tell you that. And I'll show you the settings real quick. It's pretty much the same highest settings before, but we toggled on all the NVIDIA items here. So now that we've gotten this out of the way, now we can get back into the game. Well, here we are with the game basically maxed out at this point. The only thing we don't have on is those assets. It's still grayed out, can't mess with it. I could have done the benchmark with it to see what it does, but didn't really see the point if we can't actually turn it on in game easily. It's probably one of those things you'd have to turn on going into like an ini file or something like that.
Now that you mention it.
Apologies. This one's just for you.
They won't know what hit them.
Damn straight they won't.
Done in a minute.
Time to spare.
There he is. I was like, what the hell is he? I still hear the battle music. Where the hell's our enemy? Alright, he's down. But see what I mean? We're dropping under 60 and it's very stuttery now. Like, insane. This is probably the stutteriest it's been. So, I personally really want to pull and want to play like this, but some people this probably still wouldn't be so bad, so I'm glad I still did this. Because I was honestly expecting it was going to drop down in the like 20s or something like that. And just be like terrible. But then I remembered, hey, this isn't ray tracing, so maybe that's not the case, and seems like it was the latter. But yeah, I think this is the area that dropped the FPS the most. At least around this area. Obviously, there could be way harder to run spots in the game.
Start killing.
Since I'm not going through the entire game, but definitely, so far at 1080p, as long as you don't do this, I think you could run any settings and you'd get over 60 the whole time. We'll have to see about 1440. Oh, he's dead too. Well, okay then. And I guess with that, we can go ahead and move on to camera now. So, to the camera. Well, alright guys, now let's do my settings real quick. First, I wanted to show you the graphics. So, we got 120 FPS, 100% resolution. We're just going to go with the highest preset. We couldn't quite do the NVIDIA hairwork stuff. I figured it was going to run bad, but it ran better than I thought, but not what I would like to play at, so I figured we would go back to highest for the camera, because that's how I would play, so that's my gameplay. So, obviously you can just take a quick look at that, and if you need more time to look at all the settings, obviously give it a good old pause, but now it's time for us to get into the game. Well, now let's get ourselves a little camera gameplay here. We'll just kind of run around in the same-ish kind of way we have been for the rest of the settings. And I'm going to have to boost the audio for the rest of it. I realized when I had it unplugged, there was like almost no sound.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the problems with not having sound.
These are not the type of bad guys I like to fight.
Do you like to fight?
Now that you mention it. So long! Ignis, if I may.
We're on the same page.
Let's talk.
And I thought there was one left. Still a lot of stutter while fighting. It's not like horrid stutter, but you can definitely tell on the frame time. This game's always kind of had that problem. At least it did on my 1080 Ti, and this thing is a little more powerful than my 1080 Ti, so. Heck, it's more powerful. This computer's more powerful than that whole 1080 Ti computer I used to have, as a matter of fact, now I think about it. Even though it's a laptop, it's still very powerful.
Makes me want to take a nap.
And if you noticed, I turned the RGB keyboard off. If it's just going to flicker during all my videos, why keep it on? Just know it's not broken. I just turned it off because why have people see flickering? Especially if they have like seizures or something. I don't want people to be like, oh, let's check out this laptop video, see if my laptop is, oh shit, seizing out on the fucking ground. I don't want that. So, figured let's axe those.
That's disgusting. What time is it?
of them? Nope. Alright, now I think we're done. I think I got all like poisoned or something.
Knocked. Overhead.
Oh. Well, I might get owned, but let's go fight. Oh, that's not the menu I wanted.
We're outnumbered. I propose we take them out one by one. Could you propose a way to finish this faster?
Ooh, man. That thing almost fucked me up. Well, it did fuck me up. I died.
No mercy. You're on fire today. What can I say? Never ends.
Alright. Well, they kind of killed me, but I still won in the end. Seems like it'll be dark soon.
So, where are we staying tonight?
Your works. Count it is.
Ah, well, I think that's plenty of camera recorded gameplay now, so why don't we go wrap this video on up now?
Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for Final Fantasy 15. Laptop handled it perfectly well, except for when we tried to put all the NVIDIA stuff on, but I figured that wasn't going to work out very well. But I wanted to try it for fun. And the only other thing we couldn't try out was assets. But from what I read, that's like for 4K. So that's probably why I couldn't turn it on. Wasn't hookup. It's certainly not a 1080 or 4K monitor, although I have super resolution on, which should make it appear like you can, so maybe you just can't turn that setting on. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, game ran pretty good, so now it's time for me to move on to 1440p. And like I said, I have super resolution on now in the background in the Radeon or Adrenaline settings. So now I'm going to try hooking the computer up to the secondary computer, capture computer up, and try and get gameplay that way. And then that way, we can then move over to 1440p and not have to use OBS and lose performance. That was my idea anyway. Still not going to do ultra wide or 4K that way, because that would be really confusing for it. I don't even know if that's possible. I think it can only do 16 by 9 anyway. So I'll still do 4K and ultra wide if people request the video just the normal way, because not many people request those on this laptop, to be honest, which is why I stopped doing it. So that's all we got for this particular video though. As I said, it's time for me to move on to the 1440p gameplay now, but I hope you guys enjoyed this particular video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it. And until the next video, peace out, guys.